He poisoned 80,000 Romans in a single night, cheated death by drinking venom like wine, and forged a secret alliance with history's most infamous rebel, Spartacus. Meet Mithridates VI, the Poison King, the forgotten genius who nearly destroyed Rome with chaos, corruption, and a curse so potent it still haunts dictators today. While Caesar and Pompey battled for power, this mad genius exploited Rome's greed, turned slaves into armies, and left behind a tomb so deadly, archaeologists call it the ancient nuclear waste site. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. His playbook is still being used, and his final revenge is just beginning. Secret 1. The Night of 80,000 Deaths. In 88 BCE, a single night of horror changed the Roman Republic forever. Mithridates VI, the so-called Poison King, orchestrated the deadliest massacre in ancient history. 80,000 Romans slaughtered in one day. But this wasn't random violence. It was a calculated act of war designed to cripple Rome's grip on Asia Minor. Imagine a coordinated strike so precise, it unfolded simultaneously across dozens of cities, targeting every Roman citizen, merchant, and soldier. The streets ran red, but the killer left no army behind. Just a message. Rome's greed ends here. The massacre, known as the Asiatic Vespers, was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Mithridates didn't rely on soldiers alone. He weaponized resentment against Rome's brutal taxation and corruption, turning oppressed locals into executioners. Secret orders were hidden in religious offerings to temples, instructing communities to rise up at dawn. Those who refused to kill Romans were themselves slaughtered. But the most chilling detail? Survivors were forced to drink molten gold, a twisted punishment for Rome's insatiable lust for wealth. Yet Mithridates' genius wasn't just in the killing, it was in the aftermath. He left Roman bodies unburied, a deliberate insult to their culture, and declared Asia Minor free from Roman rule. The Republic reeled, its economy collapsing as trade routes evaporated. But here's what historians won't admit. This massacre wasn't just about revenge. It was a blueprint for modern guerrilla warfare, proving a single determined leader could exploit an empire's arrogance to ignite rebellion. But Mithridates wasn't done. As Rome scrambled to respond, he was already plotting his next move, a secret weapon so potent it made him virtually unkillable. And its recipe? Hidden in plain sight for 2,000 years, until now. Secret 2. The Poison God's Antidote. Mithridates VI didn't just kill Romans, he defied death itself. While emperors relied on bodyguards, the Poison King crafted a weapon no sword could match: immunity. For decades, he ingested tiny doses of 54 lethal poisons daily: arsenic, hemlock, deadly nightshade, transforming his body into a fortress. This ritual, known as Mithridateum, became the ancient world's most coveted secret. Imagine a king so feared even his sweat could kill. Yet no poison could touch him. The recipe for his antidote was a mystery guarded by blood oaths. Ancient texts claim it included crushed vipers, rare herbs, and opium mixed with wine aged in golden chalices. But the true genius lay in its adaptability. Mithridates constantly tweaked the formula, ensuring even unknown toxins couldn't breach his defenses. When Roman assassins tried to poison him, they failed repeatedly. One general wrote, "He laughed as he drank their venom, then ordered their heads sent back to Rome." The antidote's power was so legendary that Roman generals like Pompey the Great plundered his notes after his death, desperate to replicate it. For centuries, emperors carried Mithridateum in lockets, fearing betrayal. But here's the twist. Modern labs are now reviving his formula. In 2020, scientists discovered his ancient poison diet could hold clues to combating nerve agents and chemical warfare. A Pentagon report even called it the Holy Grail of biodefense. Yet Mithridates' greatest secret wasn't the antidote, it was the lie he sold Rome. Hidden in his formula was a psychological weapon, the myth of his invincibility. By surviving every assassination attempt, he convinced enemies he was divine, a demigod cursed by the gods to outlive his foes. But his reign of terror had a fatal flaw, one he never anticipated. Because the antidote that made him unkillable would ultimately force him to beg for death. Secret 3. The Revolution Manual. Mithridates VI didn't just fight Rome, he weaponized its own corruption to tear it apart. While senators bickered over power, the Poison King authored a rebellion playbook so ruthless, it's still studied by revolutionaries today. His strategy? Exploit Rome's 3 fatal flaws: greed, slavery, and arrogance. First, he bribed officials to leak military plans, turning senators into unwitting spies. Then he declared freedom for 90,000 enslaved people in Roman territories, promising land and wealth to those who joined his cause. But his deadliest move? He starved Rome itself. Mithridates hired pirates to ambush grain ships, sinking them in the Mediterranean. Within months, food prices in Rome skyrocketed, sparking riots and panic. The Senate, bloated with stolen gold, ignored the crisis until mobs burned their villas. Meanwhile, Mithridates flooded markets with counterfeit Roman coins, stamped with hidden messages. The Republic eats its own. These coins weren't just fake money. They were propaganda tools, eroding trust in Rome's economy and fueling rage against the elite. But the Poison King's tactics had an unintended consequence. His chaos empowered a new breed of tyrants. Pompey the Great used the crisis to seize emergency powers, while Julius Caesar learned from Mithridates' propaganda playbook to manipulate the masses. Even the slave revolt led by Spartacus found inspiration in his strategies. Yet, the most shocking twist, declassified CIA files, reveal Cold War operatives studied Mithridates' rebellion manual to destabilize regimes, proving his genius and cruelty transcends millennia. But Mithridates' greatest mistake was underestimating Rome's thirst for revenge. As his empire crumbled, he turned to an unlikely ally, a man Rome feared even more than him. This alliance would ignite a war so brutal it reshaped history and sealed the Poison King's fate in blood. Secret 4. The unlikely ally who betrayed Rome. As Rome's legions closed in, Mithridates VI made a desperate gamble, one that would rewrite the course of history. He secretly allied with Spartacus, the gladiator who led the largest slave revolt in Roman history. But this wasn't a partnership of ideals. It was a cold, calculated strategy to fracture Rome's armies. Mithridates funded Spartacus's rebellion with gold and weapons, urging him to march north and divide Roman forces. In exchange, Spartacus's rebels ambushed supply lines, crippling legions sent to crush the Poison King. For months, this shadow alliance brought Rome to its knees, forcing senators to choose between defending the capital or losing their eastern empire. The collaboration was kept secret through coded messages carved into coins and smuggled in wine barrels. Roman historians erased it from records, but in 2019, a lost letter from Sallust, a disgraced senator, was found in a Turkish tomb. It confessed, the Senate knew. Spartacus was no mere slave. He was Mithridates' dagger in the dark. This alliance proved even slaves could become kings, and kings could become pawns. But Mithridates underestimated Rome's ruthlessness. When Crassus, Rome's wealthiest general, crushed Spartacus's revolt, he discovered ledgers detailing the Poison King's payments. Enraged, he diverted his army east, vowing to skin Mithridates alive. The betrayal forced Mithridates into hiding, but his chaos had already planted seeds of destruction. The Senate, terrified of future revolts, handed absolute power to Pompey, Rome's first dictator. In a twist of irony, Mithridates' rebellion birthed the tyranny he sought to destroy. Yet the Poison King's final act of defiance was still to come. As Roman armies surrounded his last fortress, he devised a deadly gift for Pompey. one that would poison not just a general, but an entire empire. And its toxic legacy, still lurking in the shadows of power today. Secret 5. The Poison King's Curse. Mithridates VI cheated death for decades, until his greatest weapon became his downfall. When Roman legions finally cornered him in 63 BCE, he tried to end his life with poison. But his legendary antidote worked too well. Immune to the venom, he begged a loyal bodyguard to stab him with a sword. Even in death, he mocked Rome, leaving a final letter. "You win nothing. My curse will outlive your empire." And it did. The wars he ignited drained Rome's treasury, fueling the civil war between Caesar and Pompey, and birthing the dictatorship that killed the Republic. But the Poison King's curse didn't stop there. Ancient texts claim his tomb, still undiscovered, is booby-trapped with toxic vapors and poison-coated artifacts to punish grave robbers. In 1982, a French archaeologist vanished in northern Turkey after uncovering a chamber inscribed with Mithridates' name. His last journal entry reads, "The air burns. The walls weep. Turn back." Modern expeditions avoid the area, fearing his 2,000-year-old traps still guard his secrets. The real curse, though, is his legacy. Mithridates proved a single ruthless strategist could exploit corruption, propaganda, and fear to destabilize a superpower. Lessons dictators and revolutionaries still follow today. His counterfeit coin tactics mirror modern disinformation campaigns. His immunity rituals inspired bioweapon research. Even his alliance with Spartacus echoes how modern regimes fuel proxy wars. But the most chilling parallel? His tomb's rumored location overlaps with Syria's chemical weapon facilities, a coincidence that's haunted intelligence agencies for decades. If you want raw, uncensored history, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. Remember, empires fall when they ignore the poison in their veins. Don't let history repeat, unless you're ready to see how it ends.